Welcome back, y'all, to the podcast Under Your Bed. If you all haven't been here before, this is a podcast, all things horror. We're going to do a little film review. It's got a little sneak peek of the movie with no spoilers, and then we come at you with a full deep dive critique. Coming from your
host, delicious cocktail.
Absolutely. Coming from your host, Taylor, sitting across from me.
Hey.
And me, CJ. Today we have for you The Bride of Chucky, 1998. Or just Bride of Chucky. No,
Yeah.
We all know Chucky, right? We thought we'd bring you the fourth in the franchise, however, Bride of Chucky.
Yes, the most romantic of all of them as well for your Valentine's Day needs.
Yes, absolutely. So if you're unfamiliar with the fourth, we'll assume you know who Chucky is, but if you're unfamiliar with the fourth in the franchise, teen romantics Jade and Jesse run off to start their lives together, but first they must deliver two very inconspicuous dolls to a cemetery. Like normal
You're so
teens.
Smart. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. With all the, young teen romance mistakes, we've all been there in some way, shape, or form. Maybe without getting murdered by dolls. I don't know.
Yeah.
To each their own. But I'll tell you what, this movie's a blast, and I thought the cast was so fun. Taylor, walk us through who is on board.
So oddly enough, this is one of the only cases where it's just one returning individual, which is obviously Brad Dourif as the voice of Chucky. You may be familiar with him in Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Deadwood, Mississippi Burning, just a shitload of stuff. The man is very, very talented. And my personal favorite in this, just such a good addition to the crew, is Jennifer Tilly, who, if you've followed Chucky at all, you know that she's in the franchise moving forward from this point, which is lovely. Playing Tiffany Valentine, Chucky's ex-girlfriend, or kind of on again, off again girlfriend. It's complicated. Anyways,
It's a love-hate relationship.
Yes, often hate, but we do not hate Jennifer Tilly, though, who was in Bound. She's in Monsters, Inc. She does the voice of Bonnie from Family Guy. She was in Liar Liar, and as I noted, she is relevant to every Chucky movie in some capacity moving forward, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Another big alum of the 2000s would be Katherine Heigl playing our, I'm going to say this loosely, protagonist, Jade. You might know her best as Izzy from Grey's Anatomy, but she's also in Knocked Up, 27 Dresses.
Love her.
Her other... I don't know this guy. I do not know this
Her
guy.
counterpart.
So playing Jesse, her boyfriend. Yeah, Nick, what'd you say? It's
Stabile.
Stable?
I think it's Stabile. I could be wrong. I don't know him.
We'll go with that. I don't either, except he was in this 90s show called Sunset Beach, and when I looked at the logo, I was like, I know that, but I don't know that. So these other names, though, should be a bit more familiar. We have Alexis Arquette, R.I.P., playing Damien. Pre-transitioning was in She's All That, Pulp Fiction, and The Wedding Singer, maybe a little bit more familiar in those roles. John Ritter, also R.I.P., just an absolute legend, playing Chief Warren Kincaid. Three's Company, guys. Problem Child, 8 Simple Rules, Sling Blade, just gone too early, just a sweetheart. Let's see. We also have an excellent cameo from Kathy Najimy, who plays our hotel maid. She's in Hocus Pocus. I love it so much. Officer Bailey. This is only going to be a deep cut for 90s kids. He's played by Vince Corazza, which I could absolutely be butchering, but
sure.
He's freaking Damien from Sailor Moon, so I had to throw that one in there. And the last big one is Lieutenant Preston, played by Lawrence Dane. He's in freaking Scanners and a just ridiculous horror film called Happy Birthday to Me, so make sure to check that one out. But yeah, that's kind of our crew, kind of mixed bag of like, would you know, would you not know, but super fun. And I also think that's kind of a similar story with their crew as well.
Right. So, this is coming from some Asian crew here, directed by Ronnie Yu. He did Freddy vs. Jason, some other
You can see
films.
some of it in there for sure.
Flicks that probably did really good in the Asian markets that I am unfamiliar with. Written by Don Mancini, did all the Chucky movies, right?
The creator. Yeah, the man, the myth, the legend.
And editors David Wu and Randy Bricker. Again, don't really know. The Chucky TV show came out of Randy Bricker, Shadowhunters, The 100, if that was a flick you're into. Composer, I'm mixed.
I don't know. I didn't see it.
Composer Graham Revell. I think the music was a lot of fun in this. Kind of he did The Crow, Pineapple Express, Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, Grindhouse, Gotham. Like, he's obviously worked on some big flicks. And then just to throw out there, some Rob Zombie songs made it in, which was a lot of fun. To give you the vibe and tone of this Chucky movie. Cinematography, Peter Powell, did some huge flicks like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Dracula 2000, Kingdom, little things. But
just a tiny movie.
Yeah, not that this would be a cinematic feat. However, you could see the very grounded quality of work. And then dolls, you got to mention the special effects with these dolls by David Kirshner and Kevin Yeager, who did a lot of the design and special effects for them, which is like half of what makes this movie awesome and hysterical and why we love Chucky. Who doesn't want to see dolls murdering people if they weren't creepy enough, So, I think this movie, you just have to come into it knowing that it's fun. You are not going to be like walking away from this horrified by any means. It's just a really funny horror flick that's just quality entertainment. Hit me with some of the highs and lows here, Taylor. What's working for you? What's fun? What do people need to know?
Yeah, so actually, I think just some of the backstory and where this lands in the franchise and kind of the tonal change is pretty important. So, you get the first two films, which are, I think, like, Chucky's always had an air of like quips about him, very Freddy Krueger-esque, but it never was super funny by any means, especially the first one is pretty scary. And the next two kind of followed in suit, but the third one was such kind of a bomb that there was a huge gap in between that film and this film. And when they came back, you can obviously see a lot of late 90s influence in this film because it's way more meta, it's funny. They definitely embraced the campy side in this, which is something that they've moved forward with the entirety of it. I think it was a huge directional change for the franchise. It kind of pivoted a little too hard in the next one. They embraced the camp even more, and I think people are still very divided. I think it's gotten a little bit more love recently than it probably got on initial arrival. Yeah. But a lot of that's carried through to the TV series. These characters, Jennifer Tilly's character in particular, is such a fan favorite. It was a huge change. She's a huge part of the franchise now. So it's just super enjoyable. It's so funny. It's definitely not one you should watch hypercritically or take too seriously because there is a lot of good production value. I don't want to dismiss that. And I don't want to dismiss Brad Dourif and Jennifer Tilly because I think they're amazing in this. But it's just, like you said, it's not that scary. You're not going to have, freaky dreams like I did of, the original Chucky as a kid,
Sure, yeah.
This is not it.
No,
but it's a hell of a good time.
Yeah, I mean, I love the meta of it, the campiness of it was just hysterical. I thought the dialogue, the one-liners in this film are just off the charts. There's so many memorable one-liners that you walk away repeating. Its shortcomings are, very just simple linear story, nothing wrong with it. But then of course, character dynamics and are just kind of like, well, okay, whatever. Maybe not besides Chucky and Tiffany. You know, it's hysterical. The back and forth between the two dolls is super fun and entertaining. But I mean, the cast and the cameos is just a blast. If you're from the 90s, I think this definitely resonates with the 90s audience. You know, I mean, obviously that's one of the reasons we love it. We're both 90s babies. So it's really like a good flick for kind of some of those iconic 90s vibes, you know, and just in general.
Oh, for sure. The soundtrack and everything is just so very late 90s, early 2000s tonally. And
right.
I really do love it. And even the design of the dolls is so different compared to other films. So I really enjoyed this one, even just for what they were achieving there. But to your point, I think our again, quote unquote protagonists are really the shortcoming of this film. The chemistry that you get from the dolls, you do not get from the humans. And it's
it's a lot of like stereotypical like characters, you know, overprotective uncle and the like, you know, like cheesy teen romances.
Which they're like an awful couple. We'll get into all that anyways, but they just come across as dumb teens. Like, that's exactly. Really what you get out of it. You're dumb teens.
Yeah, and like a dumb prick cop antagonizing them along the way. And, you know, so, but, you know, all that aside, you know, like, again, I mentioned like cinematography is just very by the book. It's not like breaking any ground on anything, but you know, still very well done in lots of ways. And I think what is a lot of blast along with the dialogue and humor is you know, the special effects. You know, there's some great deaths in this that you know, obviously are campy, but they're just a blast to watch. So the movie's just fun overall. I don't know. Should we hit it with some ratings here, Taylor?
Yeah, I feel like this is gonna be a bit of a hard one. Yeah, let's do it.
I don't know where to go. I got some thoughts, but all right. You want to start? Or you want me to kick off?
Let's start with an easy one, I think, for both of us. Let's lean in here a bit. I think let's start off with Monsters Under Your Bed, which is our scare system. Out of 4 Monsters Under Your Bed, where are you rating this one?
I'm gonna rate this at a 1 for a scare. You know, I didn't find anything scary or like kind of like make me like cringy or, you know, squirm in my seat sort of situation. There's some gore, but the gore is always humorous and just playful. So at no point did I ever like feel afraid or anxious or suspended in, you know, in suspense. Yeah, well, how about you?
Yeah, it's definitely a 1. I mean, I can think of one bit of gore where it actually it kind of stuck in my brain as like when I saw this probably far too young. But we'll get to that and more in the spoilers because that was probably the most real bit, but it wasn't overly graphic. It just felt like it's something that could happen, so it made me feel nervous. But really, other than that lingering childhood memory, there isn't much to be frightened of. But I do think that's on purpose. They're having fun with the gore. They're having fun with the kills. They make a joke out of most of it. So I think it's all very intentional. But yeah, it was a tone shift for sure compared to the first one, which is just a straight horror film. So it's definitely a 1. But again, I feel like it's meant to be.
Yeah, and there were like 1 or 2 like jump scares thrown in there maybe that I even like noted. I was like, was that supposed to be a jump scare? Or
I don't know.
It just felt like they were like, well, we'll do it just because they're supposed to have a jump scare and it doesn't have to be scary, whatever, forget it. Like it was, you know, there was no moment where I was afraid. It's the point. All right, Taylor, you get the hard job. Kick us off with a overall rating of this film.
Oh my gosh. Okay, it's so hard because it doesn't feel fair in a way because, again, I don't think they're trying to achieve anything insane with the technical stuff. There's a few really cool shots in particular, and again, there's some set design stuff that I really loved and had a great time with, and it's all very purposeful and well done, but I don't think this is like breaking any huge barriers by any means cinematically. But on the flip side of that, I just had a fucking great time watching this. I had such a blast. I was laughing. I enjoyed it. There wasn't really, I think if it wasn't honestly for the casting, or our characters are actually more the problem. I don't think it's necessarily the acting. I think it's our characters that are a problem.
Yeah.
There's such a weak point in this film that they should be your grounding force, and you shouldn't be necessarily rooting for the dolls, but I definitely was by the end. So I don't know. This is such a hard one. I feel like because of my personal love, I'm going to give it a 2 to be very kind. I don't know if it really earned it, but I had too much fun. Like a 1 doesn't feel fair. So I don't think I can do that. Where are you rating it?
Oh man, I have to give it at least a 2, just because of, just the solid filmmaking fundamentals. I mean, outside of maybe story, character, right? But in terms of like the production quality, I guess it's got to earn at least a 2.
It's got that nostalgia factor too that makes you really just kind of want to bump it up a little, because even like the curtains in the bathroom are so 90s that they just elicit something for me.
Yeah. I mean, and part of this is that, the film clearly sets out to be a certain thing and knows what it is. It's not trying to do anything bigger than, like really surprise audiences. And I think it's you almost want to give it a 3 just for that, because they accomplished like a really fun, entertaining movie. But yeah, we'll keep it at a 2 for this flick in terms.
We're teetering on the 3. It sounds like, though, at least. We'll say that we had a great time watching it, but a 2 feels like a fair assessment.
Yeah.
But that
entertaining,
you should still
high quality.
Still watch it.
I'm not gonna list this on like any top 10 list for anything. Maybe
that'd be crazy.
Maybe comedy horror. Like I could say, in the top 10, like funny comedy or like comedic horror flicks, this might land on that list. I don't know. I'd have to like think about that further.
There's a lot.
You really
gotta. There's some really good ones.
Maybe that's a little too generous, but anyways, I don't have much more to say. Any last thoughts we should leave them with?
I would just say this is definitely worth a watch. And the fun thing about this one is it is kind of a reboot of such. So if you're somebody who's freaked out by dolls or didn't want to watch Chucky as a kid, you don't necessarily have to go back and watch any of the first 3 to understand what is happening. There's enough backstory that they provide. You can just kind of continue on with the series. I think it's just so much fun. I would highly recommend watching it. It's a really enjoyable watch on your own. It'd be really fun in a group. Yeah. It's so ridiculous and campy. And I guess I don't know, for myself personally, I just really dismissed Chucky for a very long time. And it really wasn't until the TV series that I went back and started checking some of these out and then really gained an appreciation for it and where it started and where it is now. If you've not seen the show, highly fucking would recommend that. But you actually do. Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky are pretty pivotal to those plot points, so I would recommend seeing them if you want to watch the show. But again, you could probably do without and get there somewhere.
All right. Well, y'all, stick around. We got a really delicious cocktail for you, our spoiler summary, and deep dive critique.
Welcome to the podcast Under Your Bed. There'll be drinks, critique, and perhaps a few murders. You're all invited, but once the podcast has begun, there's no way out. The ghosts are waiting, so won't you join me for the podcast Under Your Bed?
All right. Son of a bitch. You did that to me twice now.
What did I do?
Got way quieter than me. You were way quieter than me.
Well, it's funny because
Twice!
I don't actually hear your scream because I think it like cuts off any audio that's too loud.
Oh, maybe that's what it is. Okay. I thought you tricked me.
Fading away into death. All right. Do I need a repeat for everybody out there? Did I not do a good enough job? I can send it. If I need to do a full send here, y'all.
You might. I think. Yeah, a solo scream next time you owe me. I think.
All right. We'll come back to it at the end of the episode. I'll give everyone a full.
I like
scream.
it.
All right. We got a pretty delicious cocktail today. Taylor, walk us through this.
I love anytime that we can shout out the people that we follow on Instagram who are awesome to us. So the last time we used the boozy ginger, we did that really awesome Nosferatu bramble type cocktail that was delicious. This one is no exception. It is fantastic. This is a blood orange Aperol spritz. So perfect time of year to be getting your blood oranges. Very simple. All you need is your Aperol, some freshly squeezed blood orange juice, some sparkling rosé. I tend to go on the drier side for that, just, in case you don't want it too sweet, and a little bit of club soda. So it's just a little bit of a riff on your typical Aperol spritz. I did not mean to really make that rhyme, but it came out of my mouth and I heard it. But I thought, hey, blood orange, it's perfect. Tiffany likes her champ, so I think this is a great Valentine's Day cocktail, but also I think it works for almost any horror movie you're watching because it is easy to sip on and it's not too sweet. It's just really good.
And can we also appreciate a red cocktail that doesn't require grenadine?
Oh my God, yes. Seriously. Now, if we can find a blue one that doesn't involve blue curacao, we'll be like legendary. That is made too many appearances on this show. We need to find an alternative.
Yeah, I like it. All right, y'all. Well, let's give y'all a little refresher with our spoiler summary view of this film's plot. So, we open on a cop who steals an object from an evidence locker. And unlucky for him, his buyer turns out to be Tiffany Valentine, the ex-girlfriend of Charles Lee Ray, a.k.a. Chucky. Tiffany takes the bag, which is filled with Chucky's remains from the previous film. Tiffany returns home, stitches the doll back together, and performs a ritual that brings Chucky back to life. Chucky, true to form, immediately kills Tiffany's admirer, Damien. We then cut to our protagonists, Jade and Jesse, who have to meet in secret due to Jade's uncle, Chief Kincaid, not being a fan of their relationship.
I get it.
Yeah, samesies.
Kincaid.
Can Kool-Aid bust their romantic rendezvous in the States? They are essentially shit out of luck until Jade is out of the house. When you're 18, you can have sex. Tiffany and Chucky's happy reunion is short-lived. Once it's clear he isn't keen on the idea of marriage, causing Tiffany to lock him in a crib, because that's fucking hysterical. Tiffany,
it was really funny.
It was great. Tiffany, I mean, we've all been there as parents, so I get it. Tiffany further mocks him by presenting him with a bride doll. Chucky escapes that evening and electrocutes Tiffany while she's in a bath watching Bride of Chucky. Love it. No, Bride Frankenstein. But,
that is tricky, though, when you're talking about the two movies.
Yeah. So anyway, seeking further revenge, Chucky transfers Tiffany's soul into the bride doll. The two then devise a plan to get back into their human bodies via Jade and Jess, using an amulet buried with the body of Charles Lee Ray. Tiffany calls Jesse and convinces him to drive her, aka the dolls, to Hackensack, where there's a cemetery where, of course, his body's buried. So Jesse, with a whole $500 he's made from delivering the dolls, suggests to Jade that they run off, get married, rent an apartment, because she's dumb and he's dumber, and being a little pubescent 18-year-olds or something.
Yeah, $500 will get you there. That'll pay for all of it.
That'll get you by. Kincaid attempts to stop the young
Kincaid
attempts to stop the young idiots, but is killed mostly by Tiffany via a nail-to-face trap. Love it. Unaware of the hidden corpse, the group heads out. The teens head out on their road trip.
Well, they got the dolls. It's a whole quartet there.
Quartet of chaos. Unfortunately, of shit relationships. They are quickly stopped by Kincaid's lackey, Officer Norton, who attempts to frame Jesse for marijuana possession. After all, you can go to jail for years in the 90s for this. Don't forget. Norton is quickly stopped when Chucky blows his fucking car up, hence killing him. But the road trip ensues. The two lovebirds immediately suspect one another for these crimes, yet continue on their journey and stop on the way to get married. No red flags along the way. Why not?
Nope, none.
While the two make a decision they will definitely be regretting in a week, Chucky apologizes to Tiffany, and they make their amends. At a skeezy motel, Jade and Jesse are robbed, unbeknownst to them, because, again, they're fucking dumb. While boning, the grifters are murdered when Tiffany chucks the champagne bottle into the mirrored ceiling, and this causes Chucky basically to profess his love to Tiffany for her equally perverse murdering fetish, we'll call it.
Romantic.
And proposes to her with a ring finger, not a ring. And then they have some sweet hot doll sex, y'all. Almost as good as Team America. But
what came first, though?
Did it? All right. Jade and Jesse.
Yeah, they dripped it.
Love it. Jade and Jesse flee the next morning. Excuse me. When the grifters' bodies are discovered, but not before David meets up with them. David is such clearly the better friend out of this whole group.
He should not be friends with them. He's too good. Yes.
But right after assisting the two idiots in making up, David discovers Kincaid's body and holds them at gunpoint. While flagging down an officer, David is hit by a semi-truck, and Chucky and Tiffany are forced to give up their ruse, revealing themselves. The group continues their journey in a stolen van where Jade and Jesse attempt to pit the dolls against one another, which really doesn't take much because they're very what do you call these?
Just like a little toxic
relationship. Toxic. While fighting, Jade kicks Tiffany into a hot oven before they crash the van. Chucky takes Jade hostage, forcing her to the cemetery, and Jesse follows his lead with a crispy looking Tiffany. Well baked.
Those look
Jade
better.
retrieves the amulet. The group begins a hostage exchange, but Chucky gets the upper hand after he stabs Jesse. Chucky begins the ritual, but Tiffany, feeling some sort of remorse or concern for the couple, stabs Chucky. Chucky, being Chucky, is never really dead, so he and Tiffany get into a doll fight. Chucky delivers another stab to Tiffany. Jade takes the chance to shoot the crap out and kill Chucky. Thanks to the arrival of the detective that's been tracking this case, the teens are cleared of the multiple murders just because he says, you know what?
There's one talking
doll. I don't give a fuck what's going on. You two go. Final shot reveals that Tiffany isn't dead, and instead she's pregnant with Chucky's baby. We assume, I guess. We have to assume. Maybe
yes.
plot twist.
I think it's a fair assumption.
Maybe it's Jesse's seed. Anyways, Tiffany dies after she gives birth to a demon baby who immediately kills the detective.
I assume it looked pretty finite to me at the end there.
And now we can continue the franchise for another 12 movies.
Yes, and a whole TV show. Come on now. Don't forget the TV show.
Yep.
Love of my life.
That this movie is so unhinged.
It really, really is. Even you just rereading it, I was like, God, this movie's ridiculous.
It's impossible to read with a straight face. All right, let's talk about Chucky and Tiffany. They're just, they're what makes the movie. That's what the movie's about. They're fun, right? I love the tit for tat of their relationship, like how toxic it is. Like they hate each other, they love each other, they murder each other. They literally both like try murdering each other. It's yet also have each other's babies. So super funny.
It was the dynamic pre-doll. Even I have to assume it looks not too different prior to the doll situation. So.
Right, which is super funny. And I love the like little insight to Tiffany's like romantic life with the the weird metal dude that she's like dating or leading on in the beginning is super funny. Totally sets this movie up in every way of like just how unhinged and cringy it is going to be at times. Like the whole like just like this is so catering to like a horny little teenager, and like all the classic like sexy horror tropes that go on in these teen romance.
But she's real about it. There's the difference. Like like kids are like, oh yeah, it's so gory, we'll hold hands. And she's like, no, did you murder that person? Because if you didn't, like, you're not getting any.
Yeah,
so like, she is serious about her murdering. She is very serious.
Kill anybody yet? I can't get turned on. This is ridiculous.
Not impressed. She was not impressed.
I mean, it's super funny. Like their one-liners back and forth are just to die for. Like I don't know, like when Chucky first goes for the knife, like, oh, that's so 80s. Like you can do better than that. Shit like that. Just it's super funny, and really what made the movie, right?
They have such fabulous chemistry, and it's not surprising that this role was specifically made for Jennifer Tilly, and she fits the shoes like just absolutely flawlessly.
Oh my God.
And then the other thing, I just love it. She's perfect. She's so much fun, but she also has a little bit of a heart, even when she's a total psychopath, that you still are invested in her, and which just shows how good Jennifer Tilly is at acting and how charismatic she is.
She just wants love.
That's it. That's all she wants. And I think the really fun part about how they filmed this was they went in the booths together and did this. So there's a ton of improvising, and they just really riffed off of each other the whole time. And I really feel like you can tell there's such a good chemistry in it that more often than not, you're paying attention to the dolls. You're not paying attention to the people. They have way more charisma, way more chemistry involved. It's just so hard. I would watch a movie. If we took Jade and Jesse out of the equation, I think it would almost be a better film, because I would love to see more Chucky and Tiffany dynamics. And it's awesome that they get to continue that, and I don't think that's like a massive spoiler, as she comes back in many varieties through the different movies, and we're talking about dolls repossessing bodies and stuff. So, you can really finagle it however you want, but it's just fun that it shows how good that chemistry was, that they have continued it on in every iteration of this, and that's something they continue to play with, and is still very enjoyable to watch how they work with each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really are these strong characters of, like Jennifer Tilly just crushes it, like so funny, and a great voice performance by Brad Dourif. I just love him as a character actor, and it's super funny. What I think is really funny is, of course, these lead characters being dolls, is like seeing the physical characteristics of these dolls with the voices is just hysterical. Like the cringy moments like Chucky has, like ogling Tiffany, are hysterical and cringy, and really set the tone for this movie in every single way. I don't know. I thought that was one of my favorite parts of it, was just the like silliness, the campiness. That's really the strongest quality of the movie.
Oh, for sure. And I will say, I just appreciate how much the dolls and the voice acting match up so well. There's very few times that you're going, ugh, ugh. And this is a late 90s film, so the technology is very different now than it was, but they really, really worked hard to make sure that these dolls had like a full range of facial features and were able to move in a way that didn't look like overly ridiculous. Obviously, you can tell when they change it to like a person that's running, it's clearly a human. I don't think anybody's pretending it's not. It's not seamless, I would say. But I'd say the expressions of the dolls and also just the design of the dolls is really cool, and how different the two of them are, because especially you're so used to seeing the Chucky doll that the Tiffany doll is so different, but it also just perfectly matches Jennifer Tilly with her dyeing the hair and the black lipstick. And it's just so iconic looking.
Yeah, it's super hysterical. And then it's funny to see her, make Katherine Heigl into like the same look at the end. That's such a funny moment. To talk about the like 90s technology of this, I was laughing at the like intro graphics, the like,
oh my gosh,
the typeface for the like the opening credits were super bad, just to put it frankly, but kind of good for the day. What it was, I thought it was just kind of funny and just really set you up for like, okay, this is what I'm in for. I'm in for like campy 90s horror. And that opening like Chucky title with the like stitched together like skin or whatever.
I did like that, actually.
It's great.
That one I did like.
And you got the like Rob Zombie music grinding away.
Yeah, Living Dead Girl, and that is so much fun. I agree though. The rest of the titles, I agree, they are so 90s looking. Yeah. And again, even the set design has a lot, which obviously it makes sense. It's set in the 90s, so duh. But even the vinyl divider she has for her bathroom, it just is such a piece of net. Like, you're not going to see that many places now, that particularly very looking divider. It's so 90s. I love it so much. It's so much fun.
Yeah, that was probably one of the like, I'd say there's several like really iconic scenes in this. One's the bathroom like murder and possession or whatever. And I think it's hysterical. The opening that's sort of attached to that, the resurrecting Chucky is I think really hysterical and iconic too. Like Chucky's first kill of the
I like that even better.
Chucky's first kill of the movie, right, is kind of part of that scene.
The Voodoo for Dummies book, even how 90s is that, just 90s, to start.
Thought it was hysterical.
But it's a good kill actually though. That whole setup I think is actually really fun. And there is a jump scare in that I actually thought did work well. And I can't remember in my head if it's when he turns his head or when he's like gone and it kind of flashes with the lightning. But there was some part that I did do a tiny like, whoa, okay. Like, nothing scary, but you know what I mean? It was a tiny jump.
I don't know. That was one I was referring to. I was like, I don't know if this was supposed to be scary or just kind of like... I thought you were talking about Kincaid.
Austin. That one didn't work for me.
That was the other one, but I remember just a couple of them like, I don't know. They were just underwhelming. But like, still, I love... that was just
that was gnarly, I actually thought.
I mean, I thought it was hysterical because like... One, like, it's just funny, the idea of just ripping out the lip ring. But then two...
Well, he's such a poser, it is kind of funny.
Exactly. And then two is the, like, excessive amounts of blood from that. Like, let's be honest, there's probably quite a bit of blood that would come out, but, like...
I'm sure. It's thin skin here.
Much. It was just hysterical, I thought.
It looks like something that could happen, though. That was the only thing for me is, out of any kill that happens, they're so ridiculous. You get a car blowing up, you get a nail gun trapped to the face kind of a thing. Those things aren't going to happen. But the lip ring thing feels like an actual thing that could happen to a human being, and it does stress me out a little bit when he first yanks it. But I agree, then it becomes immediately kind of funny when it's just this overpouring of blood, and you're like, okay, well, that's not what a face does, but okay.
Yeah. I mean, and like that first, well, not the first kill, the whole when Tiffany gets murdered and turned into the doll, like.
I love that whole
It's so
scene.
funny because the scenes are so gratuitous. All the death scenes are like so exaggerated. You know, there's like it's funny. There's just bubbles like floating through the air.
I loved it.
You know, there's like sparks flying, even though she was like drowning. I'm trying to remember. Like, I guess
He pushes the tub in, or the tub.
Yeah.
He pushes the TV into the tub.
Yeah, but it was like. I don't think maybe you'd see some sparks from an outlet or something, but it was like showers of sparks.
No, do I think it'd be everywhere? No.
It was so funny, you know, and then of course, like seeing the Bride of Frankenstein like screaming on the TV and at the same time was, you know, a really great homage and really funny moment. You know, so that's like why we're here and watching this movie, you know.
I just think that whole setup's really fun. I like the trailer set design. I like Jennifer Tilly is so overly stylized with that bleach blonde big hair and in the tub that's excessively bubbly that quite frankly, that'd be a dream, but I don't know what bubble bath does that. Somebody can let me know. I don't think that's a thing, but the whole just setup, it's so well done. And then when it goes in, you get the close up of her eyes and the one jump she has, it's not, I wouldn't call it a jump scare. It's just kind of a fun little, you know,
yeah.
Oh, is she dead? Oh yeah, she is dead. and then even her getting up in the doll body and immediately saying how kind of enraged she is already right away.
Right.
It's so funny. But again, it's like kind of really fun film wise. I just really liked the bubbles are super excessive. The lights going everywhere are super excessive. But I think that's what this movie is. Just super excessive in a really fun way.
Yeah, it's true. And, you know, shot in a very just like, I would call it pretty standard. Like there was no like crazy things happening with lighting. Like everything was, you know, well lit, even though it is like night scenes, you know, it's like pretty classic, like 3-point lighting throughout the whole movie. There were a couple moments of just kind of playfulness with camera. Like there was a warpo zoom in there. There was like split frame to create like a deep depth of field, right? With, you know, I think it's like when Tiffany realizes that Chucky is never actually going to love her and marry her. I think you see him in the background and, you know, there's that like frame division and they're both in focus. So, you know, there's like little playful things like that. And then a lot of like, you know, good movement through the scene with the edit and camera, like shooting like the reflection of the mirror above just to draw your attention.
That's exactly what I wanted to ask you about next was
like
actually that entire scene, because I actually think that whole scene is a lot of fun.
Oh, well,
too.
That's just one of the other iconic moments, right? Like, you know, obviously like revealing the like what truly motivates and drives Tiffany, you know, the bride doll, being just like love. She just wants love. She wants people to respect the institution of marriage and be good lovers and be romantic. I mean,
she's all okay with murder, but like you can't be ripping off the young couple that just got married. She does not like that. She has some ethics, okay? She draws a line somewhere. It's not murder, but stealing is not okay.
Yeah, I love like the just cliche, like, you know, like almost like your Vegas wedding chapel with the like Jesus with the neon halo is great. The 90s water beds. And then of course a mirror.
Oh, the water bed. I forgot. That's so good with obviously so yeah, you'll have to, I guess I'll set it up and then you'll have to explain it. But yeah, Tiffany Tiffany tracks down the grifters, and while they're on this I swear it's like a heart-shaped waterbed. I could be wrong, but in my head, that's clearly what it is, with the big glass ceiling above. And she takes the champagne bottle and whips it up into the ceiling, and obviously shards go everywhere, and you've got water exploding and blood exploding. So yeah, you'll have to walk us through the technical aspects of that. Some kind of dodgy graphics in there, but the aftermath is solid, I feel.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all that. I mean, I wouldn't say that there's anything like crazy about the way they filmed it. It's just some shot reverse shots basically through the mirror. But then you have that like really bad 90s CGI as the glass is falling down, and you know immediately where it's going. That they're going to be impaled by all this glass. And then it's just fantastic because it's so over the top, where there's now the glass like shatters the waterbed, blood goes splashing up, water is splashing up. And then again, this is like sparks go flying from like, I don't know, there's electricity in the mirror.
It doesn't matter, somewhere.
Yeah. And so of course you're left with this like, probably one of the most graphic moments in the movie, where two bodies are laying just impaled by all this glass. But it's just so funny, like these, like situational comedy of it all, that the gratuitous nature, the visceral quality of it doesn't really bother you. At least it didn't for me.
Oh, no, and it didn't bother Chucky either, because he proposed like right after that. He loved that. So
and then
me too, buddy, me too.
Yeah, and then you get the best cameo of the movie with Kathy Najimy coming in as the motel maid to clean it all up. Like a super funny idea, first of all, that the maid comes into this horror scene. But yeah, you're right. I love the proposal. Chucky's proposal is brilliant.
It's so ridiculous, and it's so funny. And I guess they also improvise. Like, I guess they had just had on the script, like, oh, the dolls bang, and that's it. But they, like, Jennifer Tilly's like, no, we'll do the noises. We'll do that. Like, that's how I think she's just the coolest ever.
Not. How do you not?
That's so good, though, to be like, no, we got this. We got this. It's so perfect.
And then, you get like another one-liner, and there's a bunch of one-liners in that scene, but they're like, do you have a rubber? Like, bitch, I'm made of rubber, like whatever the hell it is.
Turns out it matters, though. Turns out it did matter. So joke's on you, Chucky.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't care. He's dead. Doesn't have to raise that kid.
Yeah, many, many times over. I mean, like literally every movie at least once. And Tiffany not far behind in those numbers at this point, I imagine. But it's so good. So obviously those are all the highlights. I think we've not so discreetly alluded to where the low points are in this. Yeah. The low point, I mean, I don't think that the story has to be overly complicated, so I'm not really bothered by it being a simpler story. No. I think where I'm definitely bothered is that at what point are we supposed to like these kids? Because I never got there.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I don't. Is this supposed to be relatable to like young teen audiences? Like, yeah, that's not fair. They should run off.
If you're 13, baby.
Right. So I don't know. I agree. It's definitely the weakest point, like in the character dynamic between Jade and Jesse. Like they are worried that the other one is a murderer, not just a murderer, but like serial murderer with
serial murder,
super malicious intent, potentially killing relatives. Like so. At no point they're like, "Fuck this shit, I'm gone." Like.
No, they just call their buddy who's like, you two sound unhinged, and then shows up and is like, and they're like, oh, I guess we're getting along now. It's so, none of it makes any sense. So I get this is dumb kid logic of, oh, if we can't be together right now, this will never work. Like, I'm like, how old is she that she's this far from leaving the house and going to college? Because she definitely looks like she's at least 18, at least very close to it. I mean, obviously over because this is a movie, but you know what I mean?
It's at least 16 because they're driving, right?
Yeah. So you were what? At max At the worst case scenario, she's 16, which I don't think she is because they talked about her going to college. I think she's like 17, teetering on 18, or is 18.
Time out. It's got to be 18 because were they not going to prom, or is just it could be like a junior prom?
Oh, they were going to prom, but there is a junior prom. See, it's tricky. They never
so
explicitly say
like
the ages.
Or 18, yeah.
Yeah. So it's odd because I'm like, okay, well, one, you don't need to wait that long. So this seems silly as a premise to begin with, that you guys can't, like, come on now. That okay,
not
but whatever.
fair.
We'll just not fair. If it's not now, we won't love each other in a week. Oh, is that maybe a red flag? Maybe you shouldn't be together. I don't know. But then on top of that, then they run away together. They immediately accuse each other, and then they decide to get married, even though both of them look miserable and are thinking the other one killed other people. What is that? What am I supposed to be rooting for here?
I also love the idea of them, like, it being suggested to them multiple times. Hey, maybe you should go to the cops, turn yourselves in. It's like, no, we can't do that. I mean, I get it. Like, you do look like prime suspect number one, but at the end of the day, like, you didn't do anything, and I think it'd be pretty.
And they also found prints.
Right.
They found Charles Lee Ray prints, so it's not even a situation where there's forensics tying them. Though I guess they did have a body in the trunk, which looks really sketchy. But
that's not good.
That isn't good, but that's it. That's the only one.
Once you can get past the dead body in the car and the fleeing from the scene.
That's where, like,
and being at the scene
lieutenant at the end.
Well, maybe I don't buy him.
Just saying, like, I mean, I think it's really funny to have the lieutenant see the dolls and be like, there's no way to explain this. But what cracks me up is the phone call of just saying, yeah, they didn't do it. Okay, you guys can run along now. That's the investigation closed.
Yeah, sealed. I thought that was hysterical. Because you're like, that just sounds like a crooked detective. Like, now all of a sudden that detective's suspicious as fuck. Like, what is?
Yeah, or was he being held at gunpoint that he said that? Like, why would you take him for that one sentence and just say, I guess they're good, they didn't do it?
Mm-hmm.
Also, though, can we just say justice for David? David was done dirty, in my opinion.
His one mistake was trying to help these idiots.
Yes. If he had never helped him, he would have been fine.
Yeah,
he had a scholarship.
He's like, wait a second. Out of the three possible scenarios, one of them is neither of them are murderers, but someone is like clearly like around them murdering. I should go get involved with this and convince them it's not them. So
also, is that a relationship to be so invested in that you would take those stakes? Because I just didn't find either one compelling enough for me to care that much to be like, yes, I have to get these two together.
Well, being gay, he's, felt firsthand the sting of not being allowed to be in a relationship.
That is true. Actually, they did give him that whole line of dialogue, and I was like, that's really grim, actually. That was a really grim line that was just kind of thrown in there. But with Don Mancini being gay, I'm assuming that just was something he wanted to include in. Like, Chucky is notoriously, like, LGBTQ plus friendly. They've won, like, a ton of GLAAD awards because they do an awesome job with that. And I guess this is kind of the first time we get even a little glimpse of that, and then they dive a lot deeper into gender dynamics and stuff in the next film and the show and all that other stuff. So our characters have become a lot more fleshed out and likable and have more than being like, I'm kind of a gay trope, but not a super bad gay trope kind of a thing. So I guess we gotta give it some credit.
Yeah, that was sort of Gordon Levitt's like character, right? Like, I love, first of all, the bleach blonde bang haircut he is rocking, and then he like jumps in the car and like I think that he like suddenly has an earring now in his like left ear. That's the gay ear, right? Or whatever it was in the 90s. And
very overt, yeah.
Yeah, but his character wasn't like overly flamboyant in any way. I didn't think,
no. So he was like a human.
It could have been like way more stereotypical, and I thought it was like fine the way he was portrayed. I don't.
Yeah, I think you're in safe hands if you're, again, like, I guess that's not always the case, but more often than not, if you have like somebody in the community writing it, it's not going to be as awful as what we've seen in other 90s films where you just want to bang your head into a wall because it's horrifying. But yeah, crazy. I just felt bad for him. You know, I feel bad for any character that randomly gets hit by a truck. That's kind of why I've decided. I'm always like, oh man, they didn't even get a chance. Like, it's just gone. They're gone.
I will say it was a pretty fun kill in the sense that there was a bit of surprise to it. You know, the second he like starts stumbling out the back, you kind of see it coming, but it's a pretty like quick, like, oh, I think he might. Oh, yep, he got hit.
Oh, he's gone. Yeah.
And it's not like the kill is good. It's just splat. You know, it's like pink mist.
It is actually. While we're on kills, I am curious. What is your favorite kill?
Yes, I would love to run through. All right. Well, real quick recap for everybody. All right, you got the first kill. Is in the
a sled.
car. It's
Tiffany.
Tiffany kills the cop that gets the evidence out of the evidence room.
Darian from Sailor Moon. Yep.
Yeah. And then you have Tiffany's like boyfriend thing in the beginning, you know, rips out the lip ring. Chucky smothers him by sitting on him with a pillow.
He must weigh like 2 pounds, but it doesn't matter. It's funny.
Loved it. Then, of course, Tiffany's death as a human with the bathtub electrocution. The chief cop uncle, with the like the nails to the face. Yeah, Pinhead straight out of Hellraiser. And then the like dweeby cop gets exploded in the car. Again, I love how like everything's blowing up, not just the car at that point. Like, the parts go flying. Tiffany with the
and the grifters.
Killed the mirror and the waterbed. And then the semi-truck splatter, and then you have like Chucky and Tiffany's death as dolls in the end. And
the cop getting
and the detective, by Chucky. I mean, to me, the one that clearly stands out as the best is the grifters in the hotel and the like honeymoon suite, right? I mean, it's funny, it's gruesome, and you get to see it. You know, you get to see the dead body. Was that your favorite? Another favorite that, you know, maybe might be a surprise?
I would say it's probably that one or Human Tiffany, just because I love the setup. I love her acting, even her crying. She looks so pretty, and doing the Bride of Chucky nod. I did it too. Yeah. Bride of Frankenstein nod. It's clearly the reference material. It's just in your brain. But it's hard for me to tell which I like better because they're both so overly stylized, and I think that's what I really enjoyed about both of them is they're just ridiculous. And like you said, logistically, nothing that happens is making any kind of sense, but it looks cool, and that's all that really matters. They both look sweet, but the body reveal is definitely better on the waterbed scene. I think the setup is better for the Tiffany, so it's kind of a toss-up for me.
I completely agree. I mean, besides the like two most iconic deaths, I actually thought the like pin face was just too like silly, where I think I might have enjoyed probably the first death. I thought was pretty fun. The cop in the car, Tiffany, like it's such like, it's a fun moment to open the film. You just immediately get this like badass, like sexy Tiffany, just like out there murdering.
With a little nail file.
The black leather dress or whatever skirt, and it's funny. And of course, the Rob Zombie music going in the back, and
that's a very solid one. I think that one is a great way to open up. And like you said, tonally, it definitely tells you what you're getting into, and not in a bad way. Like it's funny. The title cards are camp and everything. So it's just a perfect setup. And yeah, I can't even tell. Do I like Tiffany better as a human or a doll? I just thoroughly enjoy her regardless. She's so
that one's
she's
so easy for me. Way better as a human. I mean, her doll character is hysterical, but Jennifer Tilly is just too iconic. And
she really is.
Like, she's just so hysterical to just listen to her voice, the quality and like that, like sort of like it's almost like this ditzy, silly, like sexy, funny, like quality about her that
with a dark undertone to it. Yeah,
but like that badass, like I ain't gonna fuck around is so fun on screen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there aren't many movies.
Felt bad for her doll too, though. At the end, I was like, "Oh, girl, you do not look great right now." That was a rough-looking doll by the end.
Yeah, there's better ways to get a tan. Don't listen to me.
I do like the doll. I like it. I do like the doll.
The one-liners.
Death of Chucky too. I mean, it's funny, like him being like, "I'll be back, but this is really gonna suck." I mean, it's funny because also, it's gonna happen. We all know. There's no surprise. Chucky's definitely gonna die, and he's definitely gonna come back. Tiffany's gonna come back. What did you think? Because was this your first time watching this?
Yeah. So actually, this is the first time I've watched any Chucky movie, which I couldn't believe.
I love it. Okay.
I don't know why I never got brought to it. The idea of like dolls murdering was just too much for me to get my head around.
No, I completely understand that. And again, I was never a big fan, but I think I had seen the first one in little fragments, like as a kid, kind of on TV or something. And it actually freaked me out. The doll freaked me out when I was little. Yeah. Now I have a very, very different feeling. I'm like obsessed with Brad Dourif and just love Chucky, but also love seeing Chucky get murdered in a billion different ways is really fun. So, but what did you think of the end? That's what I'm curious about as someone who had just watched this for the first time. Were you like, what in the hell is happening?
Okay, now I'm forgetting the name of the movie, but I was having flashbacks to what is that zombie movie where the giant like mom zombie, it's like super campy. God dang it, what's the movie? No,
don't say it. Dead Alive.
Dead Alive by Peter Jackson, right? It was giving me flashbacks to that, where like the horrifying baby birth that's like super campy. I thought it was a great way to end. I loved it. It just was a totally unnecessary addition that just sets you up to like, no, okay, this is the fifth movie in the franchise is going to have some fun shit going on. I want to stick around for more.
It's so worth it. The thing, like, again, I think that for anybody that's coming into this, like, as a first-time viewer, like, new to the franchise or just getting into it, I think the important thing to keep in mind is how ridiculously campy the next one is, even compared to this, which is quite campy. But Glenda has become iconic to me, and I have a deep love for that character now. And there's another Lord of the Rings alum coming up for you, which is awesome. So we'll definitely have to cover that one at some point in life. But it's cool to see the evolution of this franchise, where it is now, and how all this stuff is still relevant, though. I think this could have been a real just one-off, like that end scene could just be shock value, we'll call it, but they fully ran with the concept, and it still was prevalent in the TV show in the last season, which to me is just wild that they continued these threads. It's truly probably like canonically one of the most consistent franchises I've ever seen. Everything is relevant. Even if they backpedal a bit, they still make everything make sense. You don't get that in a lot of horror franchises, to be honest. It's actually very impressive, and it's probably just because having one person be in charge of all of it, be the creator, be the director, be the guy in charge, Don Mancini. It's his baby,
such a
truly.
consistent showrunner. So you get that quality. I get it.
Yeah.
Hey, just noticing an observation here. Is this movie poster behind me a direct reference to Scream? Right? I mean, the letters look kind of similar, right? Like super.
It looks very similar now that you say that. Now that I'm looking at it,
pointiness of the
if you got rid of the Chucky
and Scream
and you
2
just
has two faces like this.
Yes, it does.
And it's black and white, kind of grainy. So I mean, I think that kind of gives you an idea, right? Like obviously, you're going to get some meta, you're going to get some comedy. It's going to be campy at times. This one, just didn't deliver on the horror the way Scream does consistently.
No, I mean, Scream is genuinely terrifying.
Yeah.
I think that, again, this was like a tone shift, and I think they kind of found the right balance when they went to these home videos, because the next film did not do very well. Like I said, I think it's been reevaluated. I think fans definitely appreciate it, but it was enough to kind of sink the ship for a while where it had to go to direct to video. But then everyone loved it. And I guess even Brad Dourif said this was one of his favorite Chucky movies until they made the other films, which makes sense because his daughter is in it, and which is also awesome. And it's just like, it's like a little family, it feels like. So it's this very cool thing to like
family
get to watch and see.
Love it.
It really is. It really is. They all hang out together and they keep the same people coming back, even though they've killed them off 100 ways. They find a way to bring characters back that really shouldn't be a part of it anymore. Like, Devon Sawa has come back in every season, and I'm obsessed with that as a 90s baby, that was my seriously hardcore crush. So obviously this was just a way for me to promote the TV show, as I've mentioned it 50 times already, but it's truly worth a watch. It's just one of those franchises that I think you can easily dismiss or say, I can't get into that concept. And I'm not saying every movie is perfect, but this is a really good time. I think the franchise is a really good time, and I think it's one that can easily be overlooked just because of the concept.
Yeah, well, all right, y'all. I want to hear from everybody out there what their favorite Chucky movie is. Did you like the reboot? Did you like the first? Was there something else in between that you particularly enjoyed? So, everyone, thanks for tuning back in. Always a blast to share our thoughts with y'all. Anything that the viewers ought to be aware of, Taylor, in the near future?
Oh, we got some great ones coming up. Obviously, we hope that this satisfied your lust for gore on your Valentine's Day. That's how I do it. I always try to find a horror movie to watch.
Gotta take out all that repressed aggression somewhere.
That's right. I might be single. It's fine. Don't worry about it. But no, really, we've got one more kind of wintry, one more wintry themed film, and then we're moving into some super fun ones. So just kind of quick on our docket, we're definitely covering Werewolves Within after this one. Can't wait. CJ's never seen it, and it's so much fun. Then we're gonna get a little indie docu here and watch Lake Mungo. So those are the next two to keep an eye out for, and we'll keep updating you as we go. But we have some super fun ones on the docket that I cannot wait. I have a personal favorite in there, but I'm gonna wait to share that one later.
Absolutely. Thanks y'all for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Bye.